battle starts.
Greetings, folks. Eeler here with another World of Warships replay. This is going to be a short video. In fact, it's actually a quite dull match with almost zero action on my part. But the match has an important lesson, which is to avoid lemming trains. I'm playing in the USS Helena, and I'm divisioned with Jimmy Jazz, who is sailing the USS Sims, although for this match, which ships we're in is effectively irrelevant. We're in a standard battle on neighbors, we are top tier, and there are no aircraft carriers. I'm going to switch the replay to a view of the minimap so you can see more clearly how things sort of move along in the game. Our opposition forms a major lemming train, which our team is going to successfully exploit. Now, my general experience, a lemming train is a poor tactic and tends to fail. Its key risk is putting the lemming train into a pincer, which places that train into a crossfire and makes it difficult to establish defendable positions. And this in turn makes it much easier for the team conducting the pincer to overwhelm the lemming train and win the match. Now, sometimes a lemming train can get the initial upper hand through superior numbers against the flank that's opposing them or opposing the lemming train. And in fact, that will happen in this match. We will start falling behind in ship count. But eventually the lemming train gets flanked, or often it does, from the other side, and this forces the lemming train to divide its engagements and to defend against crossfires, and this often nullifies any earlier gains they may have gotten. Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of cases where lemming trains succeed. I've seen it myself, but more often than not, I find that's more luck than brains. When lemming trains succeed, I find it's often because the opposing team doesn't press their weak flank, and this prevents them from conducting the pincer and getting an upper hand on the lemming train. And in turn, the lemming train is eventually able to overwhelm the weak flank that it is facing, and this buys the lemming train time to get into positions that prevent a pincer altogether. Now, in this particular match, with the exception of one Tier 5 battleship, the opposing team is leaving their southern flank undefended. In fact, our Podvoisky, which is way out in front on our south flank, is going to successfully YOLO rush the Tier 5 battleship, and that will just leave things wide open for us to make an approach on their cap. Now, my regular viewers know that just because you can press an opponent's cap doesn't mean you should. Now, one serious risk is that if your opponents realize early enough that their cap is under threat, they can come back and successfully defend. Basically, they do this by turning their cap into a kill zone where they encircle the whoever is in the cap, and they focus on ships trying to stay in the cap instead of those ships that are in the cap trying to get into better tactical positions. So that is always a risk. But in this particular match, our opponents are going to be lured very deeply into the maze of islands on the north side of the map, and this is going to make it very difficult for them to attempt a defense of their cap. So, like I said, after our Podvoisky takes down the Koenig that is on the south flank, a bunch of us pile into the cap, and we're going to take the cap once without being reset. Or we're going to take the cap without being reset once. I do manage to get off one salvo on the closest detected opponent, which is the Bayern, but we complete the capture before the salvo reaches its target, so I finish the match with 0 damage done. Okay, so yeah, it was a win, but for me, it was a very low value win. It was kind of a waste of signals, premium consumables, and I'm sure, frankly, probably members of both teams felt like this was kind of a really low-value match, whether you won or lost. So thanks for watching. Please leave your comments below and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And as always, we hope to see you out there, and we wish you happy sailing.